So, white culture isn't a real thing, and neither is white pride. Now, white people can have culture. Irish culture is a real thing, Italian culture, Hungarian culture, Norwegian culture. These are all real, tangible things you can celebrate and be a part of. But white culture? Nope. Because whiteness isn't about celebrating who you are, it's about hating everyone that challenges colonial power structures. That's why you have never ever seen a white pride march talk about how much they love their people. They only talk about how much they hate others. Because white pride isn't about love, it's about hate. But why? Because in order to colonize land and claim it as your own, you need to erase the culture of the land you are stealing. That is why Israelis are genociding Palestinians and bulldozing olive trees. It's why Australia genocided Aboriginal people and mining companies still blow up rock art today. It's why the United States genocided First Nations people and wiped out the buffalo, and so on, so on. And what colonialization replaced the cultures of these lands with is just a hollow monolith and a fake culture of whiteness, which demands that culture be destroyed in the name of assimilation and obedience to the colonial power structure. And that includes all culture. It must all be replaced with this hollow, soulless identity of whiteness, an identity that never dares go deeper than football, barbecues, and challenging people to eat Vegemite. And that's because it can't go deeper. Culture needs history, and all the history of colonialism is buried in shallow graves all over the country. That's why whiteness is so fragile and can be triggered so easily, because even teaching real history is enough to blow over the paper-thin fantasy of colonial identity. And the only way this beige, bleak colonial identity can be maintained is through the continued erasure of its own history and the perpetual enforcement of systemic racism. The point is, one of the great tragedies and ironies of colonial white identity is that even the people perpetuating it don't know what they are defending. You see angry men yelling and screaming about immigrants while wrapping themselves up in the flag, but they can't even articulate exactly what they are so mad about. Because even their own identity was stripped from them in the name of colonial conquest, and the thin national identity they cling so violently hard to is only as deep as the fake history the weak colonial identity was built on. But if they stopped yelling for a few moments and reflected on how the culture of their ancestors was stripped from them in the name of colonial empire, maybe they would realize they have been fighting for their own oppression the entire time, and that the only way to regain their true identity is to join the fight against the colonial entities and stop fighting for an empire that's been dead since long before they were born. Anyway, something to think about.